Hello and welcome to Journeys of Restoration on my podcast, where I talk about my forgiveness, my faith, my journey of mental health, all things wellness and well-being. Welcome today. This is season 2, episode 3. I'm still focusing on prayer as a lot of people are still asking clarity or just guidance and tips on prayer. And today I'm choosing Psalm 23, the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer is one of those prayers I think about being taught in school, and it's just something that comes naturally. But for some people, obviously, it doesn't come naturally. I was fortunate enough to attend the Moravian primary school. So it was either the Lord's Prayer, Psalm 121, and Psalm 23, which was quite prominent. And today I'm going to talk about Psalm 23, Psalm of David. And I use the New Living Translation. And I read Psalm 23, a Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. For you are close beside me, your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. So, Psalm 23 for me is a comforting psalm, and I feel it's about God's protection. And I also see it as a passage of hope. I choose this normally when I look for comfort, or I'm really just, I don't know which way to turn. And then I just read this because God is my good shepherd. I also find it quite comforting knowing that God is our shepherd and he comforts us, and I can come to him at any time. So I believe, my understanding is, David is giving gratitude to a loving God in a very painful world. And as you know, things are really difficult at times, and it's difficult to have trust. But David is expressing confidence and trust in the Lord, and he's describing God as a good shepherd who guides his flock, which is us, our people. And for God's goodness means that we have nothing to fear, as God is always with us and he loves us. So even if we go through extremely difficult and challenging times, God is always there to guide and protect us. And for me, I would say the most striking part is going through the valley of darkness. And that for me is just such a strong description. Even though we go through the valley of the shadow of death, God will always be there. And for me, I used to think, okay, maybe it's just a difficult time. But lately, for the last few years, I've been going through a lot of challenges, which seems like there's no real hope in sight or no light. It just seems to be went from one challenge to the next, to the next, to the next. And each time when I think I've come up for air, there's just more things going on. Especially when I started the podcast, and I told you I was resisting for a long time because I felt trauma and difficult experiences were not something people wanted to listen to anymore. But the more and more I pushed through and trusted God and surrendered to him, I realized that God was teaching me different things in this different season, but he was also protecting me. And for a long time I felt really I was just alone, and I didn't feel that God was as close as he normally is, but God is always there. And now, when I look at the things happening now, sometimes those closed doors were not delays, they were just God preparing me for other beautiful things I needed to pay attention to, or difficult lessons that I had to pay attention to get and aid me where I am right now. Lately in the counseling room, a lot of people are coming with issues of disconnect, feeling far away from God, and not really knowing how to draw close to God. And like I said the last time, you need to have a rhythm, a routine. You need to find stillness, read the passage, don't overload and overwhelm yourself with whole chapters and passages. So even if you choose one verse at a time, keep reading that same verse. Ask God, what are you trying to say to me? Sit, let it marinate, let it soak in. Sometimes we are so busy trying to be busy and we miss a whole lot of things. So sometimes even not just go and read, read something, even if it's that one verse, and then see what God is saying to you. What is God, what are you trying to tell me in this season? What are you trying to tell me? Where are you? What are you trying to do in my life? And just sit, because we find it very difficult to sit. Like I say, sit for 5 minutes, then gradually increase 10 minutes, 15 minutes. There's something interesting happens when we start being still in our body without trying to listen to things and do things to achieve or to prove ourselves. God just wants us to draw near, and that is a discipline, spending time with Him. And I love verse 6. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life. Normally, it's like, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. So, that for me is very comforting. So, even if things are going on, God's goodness and mercy is still available. It is always around, and I find comfort in that verse. So, Psalm 23, a praise of gratitude and confidence from David in God, and to give us hope. Like I said, find one verse or one prayer that you can read, sit with it, read it a few times, maybe. You don't need to make sense of it. And then ask God what you're trying to say, and just sit. Just sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Ideally, you'd like to build up your time with God, because, like I say, 2 hours might feel like 20 minutes when you're really in that space and you find the discipline of getting close to God, because He wants us to draw closer to Him all the time. Just keep the daily discipline. Or some people like to do it in the evening, even in the middle of the day, meditate on it, write it out. You know, when I was going through hard time and didn't know how to pray, sometimes I just write out, God's goodness and mercy is following all the days of my life. God's goodness and mercy is following me, my family, all the days of my life. God's goodness and mercy is following me, my family, our children, and their children's generation, all the days of our lives. I always like to pray into our children's generation too, because our parents prayed for us, so we can still be standing here today. So I always think it's a need and a privilege also to pray into our children and their children and children's lives for the next generations to come. And that is part of what I do. So a mixture of reading, reflecting, reading again, writing out a word or something that jumps out at you, making it a prayer affirmation. I always think of powerful prayer affirmation. So God's goodness and mercy is following me and my family and our children and our children's generations all the days of our lives. Or just keep it simple. God's goodness and mercy is following me and my family all the days of our lives. So making it a affirmation, a declaration, a promise, however you would like to phrase that, what works for you. And then to spend that time and asking God, what are you trying to say to me today? What are you trying to say to me in the season? Because what you'll find is each time when you come back to a passage, it's not going to mean the same. And different things, God might reveal different things to you. And sometimes you get confirmation from other people. They pray for you, or they send you the verse that you're meditating on, or the word without them knowing. That is all confirmation. God is just showing to you what you're doing is in line with what I'm trying to show you or highlight or trying to draw your attention to. And if someone phones you and prays for you, I find that a lot. People say, "Oh, I saw this and I thought of you, and can I pray for you?" You know, it's a privilege when I feel people want to pray for me, and also I love praying for other people. I find it such a wonderful thing. Someone's praying for you, and someone wants to pray for you. So I hope this was a little blessing, a short lesson, and I hope to see you soon. Stay blessed and beautiful. Till next time.